Y'all, all my videos are for entertainment purposes, so let's keep it real. Don't try any of this at home.
You want what?
Welcome to a tiny magical little kingdom called Bithaca. Oh, my begonias, there you are. We're so happy you came. All our adventures are for the young at heart. No matter what our age, this is our version of gnome gardening. Episode 16, One Sheep, Two Sheep. Well, hey! Welcome back, y'all. It is awfully nice to see you again. To support my channel, subscribe and click the notification button so you know whenever I release a new video. If you like my channel, please smash the like button. I need all those thumbs up I can get. Come on, y'all. Let's go see what adventures is happening today. The sheep, like most who live in the entryway field area, just love to listen to Emmett and Earl, Gnome, tell adventure stories around the campfire. These two are wonderful storytellers who retell many of the adventures that happened within Bithaca. Most days, their neighbors, the dragons, fall right to sleep after a few stories are told and snore so loudly that it is sometimes hard to hear the story that's still being told. Everyone began to notice that the dragons were still awake after the stories were told and had been for the past couple of days. They were looking very miserable. What on Bithaca was going on with them? Everyone wondered to themselves. One day, Artemis' sheep went to the dragon's area to see if they were okay. To his surprise, upon arriving, there were dragons laying all over the field, being tended to by the knights, totally awake and very exhausted.
What has happened?
Artemis asked in distress at the condition the dragons were in. Rosalind, who was draped precariously down the top of the knight's fort, answered kind of sluggishly.
Oh, my dear Artemis, we have come down with a bad case of rare insomnia.
Artemis could only gasp, as everyone knows that this is bad for dragons. As the knights were so busy tending to the dragons, Artemis said,
I shall go around and ask to see if anyone has any idea as to what to do.
He then turned and headed off.
Please help us, my dear friend.
Artemis went back to the entryway field area and asked if anyone knew of anything that could help the poor dragons.
No, the poor thing.
Martha said.
They should have a fresh glass of nice warm milk before going to bed tonight.
She continued.
Okay, I will go and tell them about it.
Artemis said and headed off towards the dragons. Just before bedtime, the cows sent over large amounts of fresh, warm buckets of milk for each of the dragons. What a sight! Once the alarm had sounded that the dragons were in danger, everyone came. There were fairies and gnomes all over the dragon's field, helping them hold their buckets and in some cases their heads. As the dragons were just so exhausted, many of the magical beings would fetch and carry the milk, while others would help them to drink the milk. Back and forth this went. This took a while. Once they were full, all the dragons settled into their sleeping positions, and everyone held their breath as they waited for them to fall asleep. Well, some time passed, and they were still awake. Maybe it's because we're all still here, and you just can't sleep because of us, Ari said, and everyone agreed. So everyone began to leave, and once they had all gone, the dragons once again settled in and hoped this would work. Bright and early the next morning, everyone returned, hoping to find the dragons well rested. However, this was not meant to be. The poor things at this point could barely move. They were so exhausted. So Earl said,
"Well, y'all, we must go and ask everyone in Bithaca to help the dragons."
And then he headed off towards the zombie area. Fairy Cara volunteered to go and inform the king and left before anybody else could. This crush thing that she has on the king is a bit amusing and scary. The cows headed towards the Minis area to ask for help. The sheep all went to the haunted area to do the same. Manny headed off towards the mine area, and Eridan and Layla headed off towards Mermaid Lagoon to ask if they knew what to do to help the dragons. And Fairy Moira headed home to the Teapot House in the Dragon's Den for the historical book of Bithaca. She was thinking that this may have happened before, and there just might be a cure written down in there. Toady Frog headed to the beach area, and Tanner Squirrel headed towards the mountain to see if they could help, while Sam Angel and Bobo Rabbit were among those who stayed behind to help take care of the dragons. All of Bithaca was sending in suggestions, like drink some more milk before going to bed. Well, they've tried that one. Or doing some exercises, but the poor things had no energy. There was also one where you think of something to keep your mind busy to help prevent anxiety. They didn't have any of those problems. At this point, here come Moira, returning with the historical book all tucked up under her arms. Upon reaching the gathering crowd, she opened the book and sat down and read.
Our historical book says counting sheep is a mental challenge that is rhythmic. In other words, the point in counting the sheep is to focus on something. You know, keep a clear visual on it while you're counting it, and eventually you'll mellow out, calm down, and fall asleep.
Moira said, hugging the historical records book to her. At this bit of information, the entire crowd turned their heads towards the sheep, who looked at each other blinkingly, before looking back at the crowd before them and accepting the challenge. As it had taken all day to find this information, so it was now bedtime. So the dragons once again gathered into their sleeping positions. As the tiny flock of sheep gathered to walk in a circle before the dragons and be counted one by one as they passed by. The crowd cheered them on in a hushed chorus of hoops and hollers before quieting down to allow the dragons to start their counting of the sheep. Round and round, Artemis, Finn, and Moon Sheep walked in a circle.
1, 2, 3.
And then there was a slight pause until the sheep could walk all the way around again to be counted once again.
4, 5, 6.
And on it went. Somewhere around 2,583, the dragons finally fell asleep. In case y'all were counting, that was 861 times around in a circle the sheep had walked so that their friends could fall asleep. Y'all, that's some friendship right there. It was sure nice spending some time with you. Y'all come on back for our next adventure. We'd love to see you. Until we meet again, be kind to one another. Bye now.
We sure do thank you all for tapping those buttons. Like, subscribe, and share.
May the magic of wonder always fill your heart.